Uh, Hello, Amit ji. We will sort out your issue. Somebody will get in touch with you. I've raised it with the team. So your issue will be sorted. Can you hear me? Good evening, Srijit.
Good evening, Kamna. Yeah, hi.
Oh, hi. Good evening. We are just waiting. We will be taking the session live on YouTube. So we're waiting for my person to come, and we will start exactly at 6 o'clock.
Sure. And it ends by 7:30. I need to ensure that it binds up.
Yes, yes. And I'll suggest you keep some time for a Q&A, and
Okay.
I'll request the participants to put their questions in the question box so
Sure.
that we can take, because that makes it more engaging, the session more
Sure.
engaging,
Yeah.
interactive.
I'll just be on mute till then.
Yeah.
Hi Kamna, please make me the host so that I can take the session live.
Just doing that.
Yeah, the webinar is now live. I've made you the host again.
Thank you. We'll just wait for 1 minute. So participants are just joining in. Dear participants, welcome. I welcome you all to the second day of the AICTE Atal online FTP session on generative AI fluency, organized by SSC NASCOM and sponsored by AICTE Atal Learning Academy. Welcome you all. Before we begin the session, I just want to reiterate some instructions for the benefit of all the participants. All the participants need to sign up on the Future Skills Prime platform and complete the course Generative AI Fluency. On completion of the FTP, an assessment of all participants will be done. Those who have an attendance of minimum 80% and score more than 70% in the test will be issued a certificate by Atal Academy. Feedback must be shared by participants through the AICT portal available on their login. From Tuesday to Friday, you can log in with the same Zoom link. Classes are from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. On Saturday, you need to log in at 2 p.m. for the online FDP sessions. A separate Zoom joining link will be shared with you on Friday in the WhatsApp group for the Saturday classes. I will also put that Saturday link in the description of the group. You will take the assessment on Saturday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. You do not have to pay rupees 600 for the assessment. None of the participants needs to pay for the assessment. Rather, you will all get a promo code on your registered email ID, which you have given on the Atal portal. You can enter on the Future Skills Prime platform to take the assessment. You will get a promo code. Please do not try to take the assessment before Saturday. Please complete the Generative AI Fluency course, however. Just like you participated in the sessions yesterday, I urge you to engage and ask your questions in the question box so that we can track and answer those. So without further delay, let me introduce the topic and the speaker for the first session today. The topic is OpenAI tools, DALL-E, Midjourney, and AI writing tool. And I'm very, very pleased and happy to welcome Mr. Srijit Nair, who will be taking this session today. Welcome, Srijit. Srijit is a technology driven development strategist with over 2 decades of experience in innovation, policy, and social impact. With an MTech, he combines technical knowledge with a deep understanding of people and communities. He designs and manages programs that use technology to make social initiatives more efficient, transparent, and impactful. As a consultant with IIT Delhi for the Abhay Sarthi program, he helps integrate digital tools to improve the welfare and safety of India's truck drivers. Srijit believes that technology and empathy must work together to drive real change. His trainings are practical and easy to apply. He helps participants use technology to solve real world problems and create inclusive, scalable solutions for lasting impact. So over to you, Srijit.
Thank you, Kamna. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So good evening, everyone. So I hope the chat is interactive. Yes. So good evening, everyone, and I hope I'm getting response. So, but very slow ones. We have a 34 participant list as of now. So I hope yesterday I just went through the videos, very informative sessions the entire team had yesterday. So I hope to build upon the same. Uh, Today's topic we have is OpenAI and related tools that we have, especially focusing upon what generative AI is and a bit more focus on image generation aspect. So we will start with OpenAI and generative model. I'm just sharing my screen. Yes, visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So I'll just start with the importance. Okay. So this the sessions you have been given, it's also divided into 4 parts. So what I've done is that along with keeping it very informative and interactive, I have also ensured that you take on with the sessions. It helps you to get through the articles that are part of your curriculum for this. First, I'll start with the importance of writing effective prompts and how to do it. So yesterday's session, I just went through the details so you understand how the large language models work, the basics of AI. Much of the technicalities has been covered. So I believe most of you would be struggling as of now looking at how to have a practical implementation of
Can you
specifics
put
of.
your mic a little closer? Because I think your little feeble volume is little feeble. If you can speak closer to the mic.
Okay. Is it better
Is
now?
it better now? Yeah, is it better? I mean, Vivek, Prakash is just requesting to you to put your mic a little bit closer. So Vivek, is this better now? You can speak something. So
Yeah, Vivek, I hope this is better.
okay now, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know. Otherwise, I'll just shift to the Bluetooth. Yeah, this works as of now. So I would like to hear if the participants can share me a bit of detail on what are the practical aspects that you would be looking for from this session on prompts and how to write them. What is it that have you been using it? Something related to struggle that you're facing, or what you aspire to be, so that I can keep the flow in continuation to answer those queries as well. What is it that you people have been struggling with? Or have you been using AI, and what has been the first responses? Okay, so prompts and tools on research and academics is something that you will be looking for. Giving right prompts, right informations, lecture PPT with visuals, detailed notes, summaries, etc. Significance of prompt engineering and how to write. Okay, got it. So thank you. Yeah, getting more responses, but I believe I know how to have a particular flow in prompts and tools, scope, and research. Okay. So hi everyone once again, and let me start with what is the importance of writing effective prompts and how to do it. First, we will understand what exactly is a prompt. So it's a question or instruction, much like what we speak, the regular interactions we have. There's one saying that goes like, well written is half done. Whether you are working in a team, you want to say delegate something to the team, you want to teach something to the students. Uh, the problem statements or how to go with the flow. If it is prepared and you are ready to communicate in the right way, a structured way, much of what you do is done. Especially when it is the teaching profession, this is much more valid, because most of us, the interactions and communications, the clarity that we transfer to the students is something that lets them gain knowledge. And for educator, it is very, let's say, AI and how to use it, especially generative AI. It's just much simple because of the kind of systems and structures that educators have been following all these years. So a prompt, very simply put, is a question or an instruction. It tells AI what you want and how you want it. It's a clear direction, and the cleaner the question is, the better. So I'll just take you the. So why good prompt matters is that a clear prompt gives focused and accurate answers. A vague answer is confusing, and a well-written prompt saves time, brings creativity and relevant results. They also help AI in staying to the particular topic, not digressing from it, and a clear lesson instruction helps students focus as well. So a weak prompt and strong prompt, I'll just go with one example. So, and I'll just give you a demo as how it transpires into action. So a weak prompt here is explain. So what it will do is that it has a general direction. It can, oh, it's look at systems, say it can bring in maths, it can bring in other aspects, much more to do with what exactly has the user been doing. Say, I, on one hand, has been looking at certain formulas, certain aspects related to analysis. So what it has done is that it has customized and it assumed that I would be looking at the same thing, and it has shared something similar to me. Now, what happens when you are going into a clearer prompt? Something like explain the factors affecting population density, and what exactly is it needed for? It is needed for a class 12 students. And what is it expected from the AI? It is 150 word of text. So it just goes specifically with what exactly is required. It analyzes here that the topic is related to what a class student would, 12 student would be required. So it on a background, it would be checking at how a 12 student maybe in India with various CBSE and other state level might be going through the syllabuses, and accordingly it will go refer to everything and then summarize it in 150 words and come back. All this it does in a matter of seconds only. So that's why a clearer prompt matters a lot. And now how to have a how to write a good prompt, that is something that I would like to discuss. So clarity and brevity is something which is very keen, very required. Example of it would be explain the process of rainfall instead of what is the detailed working of how rains happens. It is not required that you every time go with a technically long jargon or something. Simply put, what is the simplest way to communicate something? Process itself defines much. The definition is something that the AI is already registered with. It is trained on understanding what exactly it means. Explain the process and of rainfall or something else with clarity and brevity. You can have a detailed output from it. Specificity is something else where mentioning topic, grade, and formats. For example, write a short note, 100 words for class student, 12 students on water cycle. That is something which is very specific as we experienced with the last prompt. Then comes the creativity aspect. It is of adding words that makes it interesting. So one aspect of in say lectures, designing lectures, what exactly are we looking for? It would be that while designing the lectures, certain creative aspects like, okay, the water cycle through the journey of a raindrop, something that a class 12 student or a school student would be looking at. Or say, especially looking at a technical course, some student uh, experiencing the particular subject through, say, chemistry through the eyes of water, or phosphorus as a mineral and how it is uh, impacting the balance of life on Earth. So these kind of creative questions you can opt for, and it will give you amazing answers. Keeping it open-endedness, allowing flexible responses is something that you can look at. An example would be list 3 ways climate affects farming in India. This, what it does is that it makes AI refer, analyze, go with the particular data that it has been trained upon, and come up with an answers, and you can probe further also. So this is something, say clarity, specificity, creativity, and open-endedness. It is something that you already use when you are having interactions with your team members or your classroom students. So this the same has to be applied to a AI prompt, and it does the work. So do we have certain queries coming up? Okay.
There's a question.
Yeah, what happens if there is a new term or a query? So that never has been heard
And
before.
I'll just interrupt. I'll request all the participants to put their question in the question box. If it's not a problem, I mean, we'll take this one, but going forward, please put your question in the question box. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So LLMs are trained to identify, say they have millions of uh, data to which they can refer to. A new word in this can be something, if it is unheard, what immediately it will do is that it will try to come up with the closest meaning. Why it does it is that the chats are also being designed in such a way that even if I am spelling it wrong, it understands. See, so it has been trained in a way that what exactly is, say, instead of you am, It's I am. So it's mostly what it does is that it tries to understand the context of what exactly is happening. Based on the context, it tries to decode what whether it is a spelling mistake or a typo error, and it comes up with a certain alternate. If you meant something else, what you can do is that you can say that I meant you can decode better. It will do that. So, okay, this is what I meant. This is what, and very, it's just responding in a very human, nice way. So now how to build a strong prompt. That is something that we can discuss upon. Very simply put, there are certain components, bring all those elements together and it becomes a formula or a template based on which you can have amazing prompts in place. Steps that you can look at is what is the task? What do you want ChatGPT or any large language models to do? And each model trained in a specific thing will respond in a specific manner. Say within ChatGPT, say for text, somebody mentioned lectures and uh, PowerPoints. Claude is something, general GPT that is trained again in a large language model. Uh, Better than ChatGPT, Claude is something that manages all those research related initiatives, all those articles that you want to write, it comes up with better language for it. For research, Perplexity does the job better. And ChatGPT, of course, GPT-5 especially, it has a multi-purpose initiative, but there are certain strengths that each of these large language models have. However, when you put it in a template, you can have a better output from various large language models. So task is something, what exactly is it that you want to do? Example would be create a quiz, explain a concept, write notes. And so then it gets that, okay, we have to write note that is noted on which topic. So task, then topic. What lesson or concept does you want the AI to cover? So population distribution and density of India is something that we can give it. So then it will ask style. So that is another, it's not asking it. We can say that these are the components based on which you can create a particular prompt. Style or type of output that you want. Is it a multiple choice question that you are looking at? Is it a very informal kind of a story-led output that you are looking at? Are you looking at a formalized email where you are expressing or explaining something? So that kind of output that is required that you can mention here. Then comes the tone or the manner of writing, formal, informal, diplomatic, direct, what kind of uh, tone that you want to set. Say here for educators, educational yet engaging is one tone that you can always prefer. And then what the audience is, who will use it. So you can mention a specific student profile. It can be a class 12 student. It can be somebody who is an MTech student with civil department. It can be somebody, an BE student at an engineering department, whatever it is. So it goes through since it is trained on millions of data, what it does is that it refers to those particular kind of data, and along with that, it comes out with certain customized outputs. Length is another aspect, how long it should be. Are you looking at a 2-pager, a 20-pager? Are you looking at a 10 question with answer? So these specific things you can mention. And finally, the format, the final look of output, that is, you can say it is a numbers list that you can look at. So this is one example that I have provided. What I'll do is that I'll just share based on the example. I have added everything here. I'll just take it to the new chat. I'll paste it here. And it comes up with a particular Q&A style. So this is something that answers one of the struggles that we had. It's about having a Q&A created or an engaging questionnaire created.
There is a question from Vivek that are these steps being followed by all generative AI models or only a few? That's the question he has asked.
Every generative AI model that we have, it works on the same principles. So these are foundation or fundamentals based on which you can get better prompt. Every LLM is trained to use something as simple as give me X. X can be anything, and it will deliver something. It is meant to, and then there are certain user related questions based on which it is trained as well. So say I normally have my Abhay program, I always ask something on it. So it is my particular AI is trained on answering anything with Abhay. So yeah, if I say relate this to Abhay, and this is something like it has got my wife's name because somebody might be using something. My wife might be using something, and she would have written a prompt that for something, I need you to respond as Kirti. That would be the last prompt that she would have given. So it is addressing me as Kirti. So that is also one learning that you can have a customized, like address me as X, it will give the detail. So it is giving everything on this is the creative aspect. So like club some topic to some other topic, and you will get a very interesting interface. Like recently, one of my friend was telling that his teenage child boy was very interested in friends in the class. He was supposed to learn pi. So this guy just wrote that ki, okay, pi ratio and golden ratio, connect that to beauty. It went every way of how math can be used to identify beauty. Beauty in nature, beauty in the environment, everything, and just have everything uh, shifted or say transcribed into how math leads to that. It came up with an entire data. It also created a visual. So this is another aspect of large language model. And yeah, so hope I answered that question. Moving on. So key takeaways here are prompt writing is a lesson planning. It's clear objectives, clear plus specific plus creative plus open equal to powerful AI response. Practice regularly. An AI good prompt is a step towards making AI your teaching assistant. So this covers one of your sections, but here some adding something extra. Would you like to know how to make a large language model write its own prompt for you? I'll share the same. So मैं आपको shortcut दे रहा हूँ. It's a shortcut that you can have. This is the template. I said that these 7 steps, it will give you a better prompt. So what can we do is that we can just shift to a new chat. I can say, give me a prompt. Somebody just mentioned something on which I should ask the GPT. You can use the chat window. Anything that
yeah, sir is basically asking if you want ChatGPT to help you with some. Yeah, there is a question has come.
What techniques are used in generative AI to identify patterns and generate new outcomes? So in a single query, yes, all these steps can say the particular example that I shared here. This is one single query. Create a set of X, that is what you want to do, for whom you want to do, what kind of output is required, what is the manner of writing, who will use it, how long it should be, and the final output, what is required. Everything comes into one. So yes, that is what you can do in a single line. I'll share more the details. There's another question that what techniques are used in generative AI to identify patterns and generate new outcomes. Say it's a very technical and it's very interesting, but I believe it is covered in a separate chapter.
Yes, it will probably be covered in a separate chapter.
So that entire it will take around 2 hours for me to cover. And it's most of us you would be bored. I'm looking at addressing basic users as of now who would like to have a practical outcome from this particular session. So I'll just get to a short way of getting a prompt for yourself. Give me a prompt based on the following steps on say water harvesting. Ask questions to me on each one of these and then proceed. So it is asking what is the task. So here I can repeat like what exactly. It is also giving me an example. So I won't waste my time in typing. I'll just say, yes, this is what I want. It is giving an example. So, okay. So now it has the topic task. For example, should it explain, eradicate, inspire action? Yes, do all that. Or you can choose one specific thing that you want to do. What is the task? So I can just simply say the third one. It will understand what of the three options it was looking for. Then how broad or specific should the topic be? So rural India, rainwater harvesting and traditional systems, what exactly you want to use? Simply put, first one. So I'm making life easier for most of you, like you don't want to use, just can ask ChatGPT to make the prompt that you can use for ChatGPT itself. Now the style, how do you want it to be? I'll say storytelling. I can say the third one. I can say story and slash narrative. It will understand. And the tone, I can here say fourth one, it will understand. And here it is giving me certain options. I'll here say for engineering students. You can opt for something else if it's not part of the options given. And how long it should be? It can be medium. So here you have the prompt ready. So this is the prompt. I can just copy the prompt I can paste it here. And I have the article. So somebody mentioned that lectures or research material. This is something that it can generate. So by the time that I was asking question, it was already going through. Say I'll say back in the back end what exactly has been happening. When I say the task and I'm finalizing the task, it understands. Okay, this is what I need to research about. When I am asking for a particular what exactly is the task that you have chosen. I'm saying design an awareness campaign. So now it understands that this is the topic and awareness campaign message is something that we are looking at, and then specific for whom it is addressed. It goes by, say, it filters out, narrows down from say 10 billion to 1 million to specific, and eventually it will come up with this kind of intervention. What you can also do is that you can say if somebody asks for the research aspects. So I can say, can you search for citations to go with this article? One thing to note is that now ChatGPT 5 is something that is free for everyone. Whenever you are looking for citations, this is something that you can use. There are other legacy models. ChatGPT 3 is something that is good for coding. 4 is something that is good for reasoning. 5 is something that no matter what, it assumes, understands, and delivers to you. Basic, in short. More details will be covered in other sessions. So I can just say, can you search for citations for this article? And it will go with particular citations as well that you can refer up to. Now, there are particular links, particular articles you can just click on, you can go through it. So what you can also do is that give me citations on X topic, whatever topic is. If you want, you can just give it. It will take you, it will search for all the citations, share the same. You can also have a, say, this is the template that I used, is one of the templates. You can also be much simpler than this. You can just ask GPT that help me get a prompt on X topic and ask the right questions that helps me build and ask what exactly is required by you. So it will also help you create certain prompts that are much detailed. So now moving to different types of generative AI prompting. So what exactly is AI prompting? How humans communicate? We covered the basics. So understanding the basics is something that I should take you through. A prompt directs AI to focus and tone. It can be simple as explain population density or detail as specifics, as I mentioned. The more specific you are steering, the more accurate your destination is. Prompts let AI assist with planning, summarizing, designing, and problem solving. Now, how it started with and how it has evolved till date. Say at the onset, say there's something called GitHub. Uh, GitHub always has the prototypes or beta testing interventions available. So there was one time when I used to use generative AI LLMs with certain codes. It was almost similar to having a program in place. Like you need to the task X, the topic X, much similar to how you create Excel formulas. You needed to punch in and then it used to give results back. Now it has evolved. It now stands as a natural language. AI understands everyday questions. Prompts also have evolved in a two-way dialogue, not a code. As you saw, like when I was asking it to generate a particular prompt, it was asking me back questions as well, which helps me develop a better prompt. Anyone can now guide AI without technical training. So create a lesson plan for 40 minutes for population patterns is something that you can share. Previously, it was an entire lesson plan.exe. It was run and then it used to create outputs. So four main types of AI prompts are there. One is direct, where you are clearly asking for an instruction to do a task. For example, list 5 causes of high population density in Ganga Plains. It is very direct, specific. What you are looking at, 5 causes, high population density, and where in Ganga Plains. Can be very direct. It can also be indirect, where you are looking at encouraging exploration and open answers. So it is something that I normally use, and say one basic principle of using ChatGPT, which says affecting our efficiency as of now, is using direct what exactly you require. What happens is that you start consuming more, creating less. You become dependent on machines more. What you want a question Q&A. This is the topic. This is what I want. And 10 questions. Create it. It creates it. But I would encourage that you also try these indirect questions where you are encouraging explorations. Something like, why do you think some regions of India are densely populated? So you might be having something in your mind, but it helps you think more. It gives you answers that you wouldn't have thought about. It will correlate your topic to something else that otherwise you would be referring to certain articles, books, and then realizing that, okay, X correlations are possible as well. So in research aspects, when you are teaching a student and you want, say, somebody who's a visual learner, you know that most of your students or somebody specific who needs more help from you is a visual learner. So you can say, okay, what encourage, explore how you can visually describe X chapter to that particular student. So that those are indirect kind of aspects that you can ask for, and it correlates wonderfully. Another is contextual, add background or environment. Explain population density to students living in a flood-prone area of Bihar. So what happens is that if you are not looking for a context and directly looking at a prompt, so not understanding what exactly is required, it might be giving you a general idea, an example of which at the onset itself we had shared. What happens because of it is that exact context, lacking the context, say what has been the score today. That is one example, that is a prompt that you are giving. But you might be looking at more context. So what is this cricket score? So, and within that, you can add more context. There's a Women's Cricket World Cup happening. And what is the score of teams playing for today? So that context also is one crucial part of prompting. So apart from prompt engineering, context engineering also is one aspect that you need to look at. And of course, being creative, inspire, imaginate, and innovate. You just add these particular lines and on X topic, it will give you wonderful results. A much detailed example would be write a short story from the point of view of a river, watching people settle along with its bank. So one topic, any topic, becomes 4 different outputs depending on the type of input variation that you are providing through your prompts. And crafting and refining a prompt, how to write effective prompts, be clear, balanced, know your goal, and iterate. Refine till the outfits fit. I'll here just break and come back to a new chat. So apart from what is mentioned in your curriculum, there's another aspect that would be very interesting for you to see. Say, I can just give a prompt back on the prompt that we created. Write a 400 to 500 campaign brief on water harvesting. So now LLMs are also designed to understand what other LLMs are doing, how other LLMs work. Say, as of now, ChatGPT knows how Gemini works, Claude works. It also knows that key X number of algorithms are required. There are a lot of algorithms. One algorithm specifically Claude is using, which gives you better understanding. So what here I can say that key this is Claude does a better job in writing on this topic. Can you replicate it here while doing a research like perplexity? Now what it does is that it's searching for web. It is searching how Claude style can be replicated. It is also looking at research, perplexity like style, fact checking. It reviewed the entire brief and it has again written. So now this is a bit more neat, a bit more detailed. What you will also see is that it is more human-like writing. Say something here, uh, long sentences, not that simple of language. It's easy to understand that it is AI written. But do something like this, it changes. So it is more engaging, it is more human-like in approach. So you can blend even if you are using any of these LLM models, especially ChatGPT is something that has become a by default now. Use any of these LLM models and you can use the same, get specific algorithms of other LLM models to work for you. What you can also do is that you can say use simple English, short sentences, and it becomes more human-like. So as educators, another aspect that you might be having challenge with is how to identify whether a prompt is or say some thing submitted to you is written by them or is it's a AI written thing. So Node GPT is one of the interventions that you can. So if I just copy what I had first created here, this is the prompt that I used, campaign brief to call to action. Say a student has submitted something or you have written something, and before publishing you would like to understand that how easy is it to detect if it is AI written or not. So Node GPT, there is something called AI detector. You can just paste whatever has been generated by your LLM of choice, here ChatGPT, and you can detect if it is by AI. And while this happens, I'll also say that Node GPT is a very interesting tool for you. It also helps you with a AI humanizer. It can humanize what has been written here. Say it now says that there is a 53% probability that it is written by AI, and it has identified specific language that helps it identify that it is AI written. So here what I did post this is that I used very simple English and short sentences. Let me just copy it and see how much of it is. it looks like AI generated. Yeah. I'll just copy this. Again, I'll use AI detector to detect. And the good thing is that once you detect that, okay, so the probability has reduced just by adding two sentences. Use short sentences, simple English. You can also, once you create something, you can also use AI humanizer, paste whatever has been generated, and use Node GPT to shift that to something that is simple English and something that has the probability of being written by humans better. So on the left side, it has come up with a version. So this is something that you can do. There is a AI paper writer also in NodeGPT that works, and this mostly it is free only. So it's a perfect interface for somebody new who is looking at specific generation for text, also looking for making your outputs more humanized. So this is something that I'll encourage. So coming back to what the flow that you will be taking through future skills. Next topic to be covered is, sorry.
There is one question. I'll just, if you want to take that,
Yeah,
Vivek
please.
Prakash asking, sir, is it possible giving good prompt and getting wrong or vague answer?
Oh yes, definitely. Until you have the context set right. If you have the context right, that's why context engineering is something that is emerging as the better way to get text from people. Always use the right context. Otherwise, even with the right kind of prompt, say the way around it would be simple. Whatever your prompt is, you can just write it and say, help me identify if the context has been set right, or help me get the context for this prompt better, and rewrite the prompt. Just mention this, it will give you a better prompt, and use that. So whenever you are getting wrong results with the right kind of prompt, something is wrong. Instead of asking somebody else, you can just ask your chat GPT for what is wrong with it, analyze. So that is another aspect. So I'm just again going to some practical aspects of writing. Say the output that, oh, this is another within OpenAI, since we are looking at OpenAI tools, within OpenAI, there is ChatGPT, there is DALL-E, that is the image generation aspect. Apart from those, we also have Whisper AI. Whisper AI is something that helps you convert your recordings to notes. Say this entire YouTube video that you get on a next day, you can have that converted into a particular text, and then based on that text, you can create short notes or points of a particular lecture. That is something that you can comfortably do here. So I'm just taking one of the explanation and saying, analyze this text and help me get this better as a formal note. So it will convert it into a more formal version. You can have an informal version, whatever, and you can help say something like analyze what is wrong with this writing. So it will analyze what you have written, tone consistency. There is a shift between academic and conversational tones. It will suggest what to do. It will analyze your sentence structure and flow. It will say what exactly needs to be done. It will give you an example. Overload detail in the first sentence and how you can look at a simpler alternate. So this all this analysis is possible. So whenever you write something, you can also use ChatGPT to analyze it for you and suggest what is required. So instead of you getting dependent on ChatGPT, you can use it as a friend who can analyze it. Say instead of taking it to a friend of yours that you normally take to before you submit something, just ask ChatGPT. So that is another way of using ChatGPT as your friend or first point of reference to have a more polished uh, text for yourself. So just going for with the 8 ways to write better, talk to it like a person, set the stage, assign a role, keep it on track, ask it to read and reread it. So that is wonderful thing. So I believe these things I have covered. So I'll just come to how to use these kind of things. So now in this particular example, it has already given an analysis of what is wrong with this particular writing. It has also suggested. So now I will say, reread this, add two examples from. Instead of from, say, your favorite of how. Your favorite newspaper or your favorite research platform, whatever it is, how it will do, it will use that algorithm. So it is rereading this and then rereading with particular focus on X or Y. So it has then analyzed, it has also given how a newspaper like Hindu uses, what is the specific conversational flow that it uses, and it shifts that to a particular format. Another is experiment. So try new styles, table, story, and quiz. That is one aspect that you can look at. Turn this explanation into 5 MCQ with answers. That is something that, as an example, here I have used. Instead, do we have any magazines coming up from AICT?
I don't think they're publishing anything.
Okay.
I'm not aware. I may not be aware. Maybe they're doing, not sure.
It might be a AICT referred book article. So it goes through all the details of the database that AICT has and looks at it, looks at what kind of particular language is used, and it comes back with that particular flow itself. So those who would have looked at certain AICT books or articles, so this is following the same. And refine iteratively, that is another thing that you can do. So build on the last answer. So whatever you have got, you can say, now simplify this for X. So this is another good thing if you have certain kind of students that you would like to address with a custom response. So once you have gotten through in a, say, regular course related, using course related jargons and the flow that is required, then you can say that how I can look at X kind of students who have X kind of weaknesses, and I would like to help them understand this in 10 minutes. something like that, and it will reiterate. It will also say somebody who is a visual learner or somebody who is help me answer X question for somebody who loves SUVs or somebody who really loves smartphones. So it will creatively come up with something that can be of that person's interest at the same time, uh, helps you teach them better as well. And start afresh always. Whenever there was another question that came up, that key when a right kind of prompt leads to a wrong kind of response. So whenever that happens, just restart, new chat, forget the old chat, whatever was created, and you're good to go. There is another aspect. Say some of you uh, might already be publishing your writings. Do we have certain members of the team who are much interested in writing research material and everything? I believe yes. So here, new projects is something that is a wonderful tool, and it is available for free for all ChatGPT users. Say something on writing if you want to have a project in place. And projects is a wonderful aspect. What you can do is that, say you have a specific kind of writing, you can just add files in a document, which are much more like the way you think you write. So somebody who has published 10 articles, you can add files, add all the articles you have already written, and then go to new chat window, write a particular, uh, say here only, if it is new product, say I'll use something that I already have. I added the file, and I can say use the same language flow to help me answer. Again, population density of India. So what it will do is that it will go with the kind of language that I have been used, but of course it will go through what kind of language or flow that I use. It will convert it into an algorithm. It will use that particular algorithm to answer your question again. So this way, if you have written 10, 20 articles, it will try and identify the kind of flow that you like, what kind of English you like. Is it a formal kind of approach that you always take? And based on that, it would try responding. And once you create a project, it will keep on refining. More you ask, more interactions you have, the better it gets. So that is another aspect of ChatGPT that is very valuable to you. And then moving on to the next module that you have, that is on clarity, completeness, and 6 rules of writing effective AI prompts. So rules 1 to 3, providing clarity, completeness, and safety. So rule number 1, avoid confusing messages. Use simple, direct language. Avoid vague words, multiple questions in one prompt. Example can be explain population density in India in 120 words using the 2 real examples. Very specific. Give all details. So add who is it for, what format you want, how deep the answer should be. And keep secret safe. Don't include personal or confidential info. Use general examples. That is another aspect. Say, as I mentioned, that my wife's name came up in one of the chats. That is because somebody's asking it to use a particular name and create a response. That normally happens when you are using it to draft a mail or something. So that is one area where you should limit yourself, especially if multiple people are using a particular chat window or a GPT, same ID, multiple people are using. Then use help guides, refer to textbook, official data, known frameworks, and keep answers factual. Check before sending and change how you talk when needed. Adopt your language for the audience, students, parents, or colleague. An example is explain the same topic simply for students, formally for teachers. So that's mostly about how to look at OpenAI and ChatGPT. So any particular questions on this? Shall we move to Midjourney, image generation?
Yes, we can move forward. There are
Yeah.
no questions at the moment on
Yeah.
this.
Please share the notes. Yeah, the presentation, I'll share it with you.
Yes.
So now the image generation aspect. Here, what I have done is that Midjourney is one of the options that you have, but now Midjourney has become paid. I'll share. I had opened the same for reference. So Midjourney now, it's a paid software. It still generates wonderful intervention, but what I'll do is that I'll use image generation as the default word, and there is another tool that I'll just introduce you to that does this same job, of course, better now. Gemini or Google Gemini has something called Nano Banana. It's a wonderful image generator. I'll share all examples using Nano Banana. So first of all, what exactly is image generation? It's an art that turns your text or image prompts to unique artworks using machine learning algorithms. So create a surreal poster showing diverse landscapes for a geographic exhibition. So how it works? It works via a platform, Discord. That was the platform used for Midjourney, but for Nano Banana, it is Google Gemini only. AI interprets and generates 4 images or say multiple images as of now that you suggest one image. It normally generates one image, Nano Banana, but you suggest 4, it will generate 4. It also looks at customization. So you can give the prompt of what kind of style, resolution, aspect ratio, and creativity level you want, and it can come up with that. And it is very friendly to use. Again, it is almost like interacting. So now what is this key feature of classroom applications? Multiple styles. What it does is that it what kind of say classic kind of image, black and white, uh, anime kind of, cartoon kind of. There was something called Ghibli style, which became very famous, where you can upload some of your picture, it converts you to that particular style. So any of these styles, you can just refer those particular style. It will go through the algorithm that is required to generate an image of that particular style and come back to you with any kind of style. So that is one key feature of using any image generating tool, especially Nano Banana or Midjourney. Fine tuning and editing is possible. Say adjust parameters, erase some particular thing up from your image, add something to your image. So fine tuning and editing, make it a ratio from change it from a square picture to a rectangle picture. So those kind of initiatives, say prompting you can do, and you can have a fine-tuned image. API and automation is something that you can look at, integrating Midjourney into school websites or projects. So that is some aspect that even Nano Banana has. And learning algorithm, so continuously improves and adds styles over time. That is another aspect of any of this image generating tools. What you can use it for is visual aids, create visual aids, quick diagrams or thematic posters, arts and innovation clubs. You can have contest, you can have say for any upcoming marketing event or annual event, you can have artwork designed through it across subject projects. You can blend data of 2 different subjects and create wonderful stylized images. Creative impact and takeaways would be accessibility. Anyone can use it, and encourage classroom and exploration and experimentation. Ethical use, what here we are looking at credit AI generated art, where say if something is generated by art, who owns it? That is one aspect of ethical use that comes up all the time. Is it the somebody who has paid for it subscription, or if it is a free image, so who owns the um particular art? So that is something that ethical use questions come up with. Skill building is another aspect where enhancing imagination, visual literacy, and digital creativity is something that adds on when you use such platforms. What I'll do is that I'll just go to how Midjourney or any image generator generates images. So it's a very interesting technical aspect. I believe in some of the sessions it would be covered in a technical aspect. Here I'll go very simple of what exactly is the science or the algorithm behind generating an image using Midjourney or Nano Banana. So it uses an AI called generative adversarial networks. So again, one saying goes that what you are uh, also depends upon the kind of enemies that you have, or say choose your enemies wisely, because the quality of your enemy you will always try to match up to that particular enemy, and in that process you also as a person improve. So very interestingly, that same concept has been used to come up with image generating AI model. How it does is that say a generator creates image from a text prompt. Whatever you say, the prompt, like a cat on a cloud, and a discriminator checks whether these images look realistic. So under GAN, there are two kind of algorithms. One is generator. Say you have a million images, you train those million images. You use two algorithms. One is generator, where you are training a particular generator to go through 1 million images and identify how you can start generating referring to those particular images. You also at the same time train a similar program, you call it discriminator, and you train that particular program to check whether any of these images look real or not. Of the 1 million, there can be certain that are, say, a cat. So of the 1 million, how many are cats? How many are not? So those kind of training is called algorithm is discriminator algorithm. So an image generator mostly has two different algorithms coming together. So whenever you are giving a particular prompt, what it does is that it always starts with a blur. So blur is when the first blur comes up, a generator is saying, ki, okay, is this, say here, the example is that ki, if you type Mona Lisa, the generator tries to draw an image that matches this description. While the discriminator acts like a judge, saying, does this look real, and help the generator learn to make more lifelike pictures. So in actual, what it means is that it will start with a blur. Then the generator asks the discriminator, is this what is required as per the prompt? The discriminator goes through it, it says no. So then it will come up with a better version. Say here it creates a line diagram of Mona Lisa. The discriminator again will say, no, it is not what is required, but yeah, you are coming closer. So this keeps on happening multiple times, thousands of times within a few seconds. And eventually that is how you end up with an image where the generator is also saying, okay, is this what the user required? And the discriminator is also saying, yes, this is what is required. So it is almost like old Bollywood films where two brothers, एक चोर बन जाता है, एक सिपाही बन जाता है. This is almost the same kind of algorithm that has been interestingly used to come up with a image generation tool. So any particular question on this? There is, say, I'm simply putting it, but there's a lot happening within this. But generative adversary, being the keyword here, networks is the kind of technology that is being used behind this. So an example I'll show you. Again, I'll use something called Nano Banana. I'll write here. So this is a link to Nano Banana. Otherwise, what you can also do is that you can just say Gemini tool, and within Gemini, there is a tool called Create Images. You can use this image. Here you can say so create an image of Mona Lisa, but this time wearing red clothes instead of black. So what it does is that it again the generator and discriminator are working together. It started with a blur, and now we have an image where the outfit is in red. You can say turn it to blue. So again, it will start with a blur mode. So Nano Banana is really fast. Normally, uh, in ChatGPT or say Midjourney, previously it used to take a minute or so. I'll just switch to GPT here. GPT also makes the DALL-E that you something that is referred to uh, within the curriculum. That is one tool that now stands integrated with ChatGPT. So you can just go to ChatGPT. So here it starts with blur. The process is much slow here. That's why Nano Banana is one of the latest initiative and very fast, it's blazingly fast. So it starts with blur and thousands of time both discriminator and image generator are going together to come up with an image. So here you can see that it is less blurred. You can see something happening here. And again, the thousands of time, both algorithms are interacting with each other to come up with an image. The image, meanwhile, starts getting less and less blurred. So it will take time. So that's why I believe Nano Banana, I'll highly recommend use this particular platform to create your images. So moving to how to write a good prompt for image generation in Midjourney, or say in this case, Nano Banana. So points to focus is image style. What to include is define look, photo, painting, digital art, etc. Mention the kind of camera, lenses, or artist style to be used. An example would be, say, if you want to get a particular image as if it is taken by a DSLR camera, you can go to detail as much as click generate some image which seems to be clicked using a 50 mm DSLR. So it will create it. You can also say the aspect ratio. Normally we have a 16:9. The laptops these days come with a 16:9 ratio. Mostly that is the default as of now. But the previous aspect ratios of 3:2 that the dated PowerPoint still have. So you can use something like that. And then these are the particular kind of styles that you can suggest. Subject is another aspect where you can say describe main focus. What kind of numbers, type, or actions you are looking at. An example would be 3 trucks on a mountain carrying supplies. And you can also add details like environment, add background, setting for realism. Say trucks crossing a snow-covered pass in Himachal Pradesh. Being specific, Himachal Pradesh is something that you are looking at. Those kind of mountains, those kind of terrains, it will go through the algorithm, identify the kind of terrains, convert it into an image. Lighting, define mood, golden hour, night, foggy. Golden hour is the evening or morning time. Light, studio light, what kind of lights you want. It can also, it also, if you suggest angles of view, what kind of perspective you need a drone shot, aerial shot, close up, eye level. It can create those kind of initiatives as well. So one of the prompts that I have used here is combining all these aspects, much similar to what we did in a GPT prompt, text prompt. Photo with a Canon taken through a Canon R5 model using a 50 mm DSLR lens of 3 trucks on a mountain road in Himachal Pradesh, taken at a golden hour, morning or evening time, aerial view, aspect ratio 3:2, with resolution and no camera. See, you specify it and it generates something like this. So now you just remove one of the prompt aspects, say, instead of photo, you can say watercolor painting. You can also say drone shot, aspect ratio. AR is for aspect ratio. 16:9. That is a standard ratio we use. So this is an example of right prompt delivering wrong results. So when I analyze, or if I ask what is wrong with this, it will say that how can a watercolor painting have a drone shot? It can be aerial view, but drone shot requires a camera. Is it better or same? Same. No, better. So here what I can do is that I can ask GPT itself, why is this not giving me? Okay, so I'll just stop. I'll use a prompt itself and ask it to analyze. Okay, so now I get the result that since I had previously mentioned Mona Lisa painting at the start, so it is assuming that I am still talking about that particular painting. And it is giving me a better prompt, which I can use. So meanwhile, I'll just finish while that is loading. I'll just go to the next slide. So how we can refine, practice, and ethically use. Refining prompts is something which requires adjusting words, trying new camera lighting and angle values as we did as of now. It also includes experimentation where chart angle styles, what kind of painting styles you need are mentioned. It also includes exclusion, like we can say, don't use in that particular prompt. If I had used key, stay away from giving me a regular image. So the sign here is minus no text, or you can just plainly say minus no regular image, no picture image. So here, now GPT itself analyzed the prompt. It came up with a alternate, and accordingly it has created an image. So this is one aspect of image generation that you can start using. Oh, there are 5 minutes left. I'll just go through it quickly. Certain tips on how to generate particular images better. Keeping prompts short, leading with keywords, using proper sentences, and preferring a specific vocabulary is something that you can look for clarity and precision. At the same time, color, structure and style. I'm sharing this PPT. You can use these kind of uh, tips. Just copy it, ask it to create a prompt. It will do the same for you. Follow a prompt template, use multiple prompts, be explicit and with numbers and composition, and add style and lighting mode. So these are aspects that you can use for a better prompt. So I'm coming back and I'm sharing some aspects that you can use as part of an image generator platform. You can use two images, any two images, or say it can be your picture, it can be somebody else's picture. So, and you can just say increase the resolution, make it black and white. You can also say change, expand the canvas to make it wide. So these kind of using your existing pictures, you can also say what exactly needs to be added or edited to the picture. What you can also do is that you can combine, say here, paste two pictures and say create an image using two pictures and make it as a single picture. So that is another form of text that you can use to generate a picture. Here I'll say 2 or 3 minutes left. Any questions on this?
We don't have any questions. I think we've answered most of the questions.
And just in case one last message would be, if any questions, just share it with Google Gemini. You can just create a prompt. Here also I'll say how you can create a prompt. Say help me create a prompt for a ad on say time is running out. I'll say so I use the image prompt one. Instead, I'll stop it and use the text prompt. So in any case you have a doubt, you can just ask it. It will give you a prompt. You can start using that particular prompt. Say here, cinematic shot, ultra wide angle, Samsung Watch, National Geographic photography style, etc., etc. You can change the prompt, add something. It just gives you a number of ideas, and you can use one of these particular prompts to generate a one image. So that's something. So ask any doubts. You can take it to GPT or Gemini. Use it for image generation. You can again use something. You use the guidance of this particular GPT itself, whether you are using Claude, Perplexity, um, Gemini, or GPT. So that's it from my end. Hope the practical aspects have been covered.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Srijit. It was a very, very informative session, and we came to know so many ways to get more out of the LLMs that we are currently using. And especially for the faculty, I think, like they messaged in the chat also, they found it very useful. And the explanations you gave for each of those was also very helpful. I want to let the participants know that Srijit will also be taking another session tomorrow. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask him tomorrow tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, where he'll be taking the next session. So thank you so much, Srijit, for your time.
Thank you, Kamna, and all the tools I mentioned are free. Don't worry.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. I think that
Okay.
was
Thank
another
you.
question. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah.
so much.
Okay. Thank you,
We are,
Kamna. Over to you.
thank you so much. We'll now move on to our next session. And the next session we have is on mental health and health. And I'm very happy that we have with us today Akbar Mohammed. We are very welcome Akbar to this session. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making time. He's a very busy man, works with Fractal AI, and uh, I'm just pulling up. I'm not able to pull up my script.
Hey everyone, glad to be
Yes,
here.
so Akbar, welcome to this session. Just to give a brief intro about Akbar, he is an enterprise AI architect and technical leader living at the intersection of cutting edge AI and real world impact, which means translating complex innovations into practical solutions that work. A couple of things that he is about him is that he has architected AI platforms across verticals, healthcare, retail, and telecom. He has built training programs for data scientists, implementation teams, and cross functional groups. His expertise is in GenAI systems, machine learning ops, LLM ops, and enterprise AI platforms. He is passionate about making technical concepts accessible and actionable, and he's a patent holder for responsible AI systems and machines. Great to have you with us. I'm sure that the faculty is going to learn a lot from this session. So stay clued in, faculty members, and over to you, Akbar, to take this session forward.
Thanks, Kamala. Thanks for that introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited for this session. I really love sharing what we are doing in this country on Gen AI. I don't know if most of you know that India is the largest consumer of LLMs in the world. That's an interesting fact. More than any other country, we use AI more openly than any other country. With that, maybe I'll get started. And some ground rules. I want this session to be a little interactive. While I'll share a lot of content here, I do want you folks to maybe put up your questions on the chat.
Or question box. There's a question box, you can put it in.
Yeah, or question box, and I'll probably pause in different spaces and I'll take up those questions as well. Hope that works with everyone. I'll get started. Can you folks see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So for today, what I've planned is basically focusing on Gen AI technologies within healthcare. Healthcare is a vast ecosystem, right? There are many players, participants in that. What I want to do is give you an overview of how that ecosystem operates and where are the opportunities of using Gen AI in that healthcare space, right? I'll talk about my experience building those ecosystems and how those have evolved over time and how things are changing in that domain as well. So that's what I have for you in this session. With that, let me quickly share our agenda. This is broadly what I wanted to cover. We'll start with data. With anything in the AI world, everything starts with data. It's with data only you create more AI solutions. I want to talk to you about the rich ecosystem of data within healthcare and how we are utilizing it, and then how we deliver treatment and discover solutions using AI. And then there's the operational aspects of how AI can be used in healthcare. And then finally, there is a population dynamics. Healthcare is not just about patients, but also entire ecosystem, not just of humans, but also other entities and how AI is helping in those. And then finally, I want to also give you a realistic perspective of what is working, what is not working, what are some of those challenges that we are tackling within healthcare and even in outside healthcare, right? It's not just limited to healthcare. Those are some things that I want to share in this session. That's probably what I have in terms of agenda. Okay, before I begin, maybe let's do a small interactive exercise. Think about a time where you maybe visited your doctor or even a hospital. Think about all the interactions you had. Think about all the data points that are being collected about you and about your treatment. Think about those interactions. And what I want to do for now is maybe note down some of those interactions and how those can be used as data, right? Let's say you are the patient. I will begin with an example, right? I think the first thing that most entities do is they collect your name and basic info, right? So that's the first data that they collect. In our data science or the AI world, we call them as CRM systems, customer relationship management systems. What else do you think happens when you visit a healthcare ecosystem as a patient? If you feel you want to share it in your chat, I can read those chat as well. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay.
Please allow them some time to revert
Sure.
on. So I'll encourage everyone to please put their answers in the chat box.
All data. I mean, you need to be a little more specific. I don't think we can give all data to hospital. Yeah, medical history. Yes. Like previous treatments, previous visits. Okay, maybe I'll help you with one more example, right? You'll also share, let's say, yeah, symptoms. You do have symptoms that you share with your doctor. You have like a diagnostic call, maybe, right?
Yeah, somebody's written height, weight, and temperature.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll call that. Yeah, let's do height, weight, and temperature. These are things that most medical professionals will collect. Symptoms, yeah. Medical report, allergies, yeah. Any known conditions, right? Allergies, sugar, yeah, depending on the kind of treatment. Yeah, that's all. So this is one aspect of, from a patient perspective, these are some of the data that they collect. There are many other things that also happen, right? There are, let's say, lab results, right? Lab results can be of many types. It could be blood tests. There could be X-rays, MRIs, right? And you can also have things like insurance. We also do, most of us hopefully have health insurance, right? This also comes in the healthcare world. Now, insurance will also have aspects of financial information, right? Fees, payments. This also comes in the healthcare world. The other thing a patient might go through is things like we call them clinical notes, right? And this could be notes that a doctor shares, like I think most of us may have collected a note, a handwritten note by a doctor or even a nurse, right? Doctor notes, right? So all of these are essentially data points that you as a person single-handedly generates, right? In the healthcare world, there are today systems that are capturing this more systematically. I think India and many other countries have digitized some of these interactions. Yeah, great. Somebody knows what Ayushman card holders, right? So a lot of this data is getting digitized. And the cool thing about that digitization effort is that you have now the ability to both interact and create more AI from all this data that has been collected over decades. Okay, so that's what's happening. Maybe I'll give you a glimpse of that interaction in the next slide. Right. Here's what we just discussed, right? So there is care delivery, people like doctors, clinicians, hospitals, all these essentially fall under the care delivery. These are people who are trying to provide treatment, diagnosis. They are collecting information about you, not just your personal information, but also your health statistics, right? And then based on the interaction, they're also recommending some treatments or treatment plans for your care. So these folks are collecting data separately. So this is that window, right? This doctors and nurses window. And then there are support networks. Doctors and nurses don't work alone. They also have devices. Like if you go to a dentist, they need X-rays, and usually those X-rays are not done by the doctor themselves, but by another specialist. And they have instruments and devices that are collecting that data and storing them in different ways. So there's that support network, and then there's and there are maybe other conditions, like for example, people going through chronic conditions, people who need blood transplant, or even let's say any acute or chronic problems that need attention on a regular basis. There are separate service providers. They too are collecting data about you just to track how your health is over time and if it's improving or not improving. So that is being collected by your support network. Support network also includes your insurance and insurers. They are collecting not just how frequently you are visiting hospitals, but also tracking different kinds of fees, how healthcare payment ecosystem is evolving. That's also data for us to be tracking. And there's a industry perspective, right? There is, apart from your doctors and nurses, there are also pharma companies. Pharma companies also work with clinical trial teams. They also need data. They are also doing tests on the field. They are actively doing a lot of experiments to make sure that the drugs that they are researching and synthesizing are useful for us, right? So they're also generating a lot of data. And there's something interesting happening in this field also. I'll talk about it when we get to that. And then lastly is the data challenge, like because each of these interactions are happening in silos today, right? There is a active effort across the globe to kind of make it patient-centric. What that means is If you are one patient, you should have like all your medical history tagged, right? Today, it's beginning in our country, but there are many conversations are being had so that we can collect this data for every patient on an ongoing basis. What that will allow is to give you customized care. Today, most care is blanket care, like we basically get bucketed into different categories, and our care is based on that. In the future, most intelligence is going towards making patient care the central focus. Okay, and GenAI is playing a critical role here. But what I wanted to do here is talk to you about the ecosystem and how complex it is, and how each of the components of that ecosystem is generating its own data, and each of that data is like a gold mine for creating AI and also using AI on top of it. Okay, so that's the first insight I want to share. With that, I'll move to the next one. So now the reality of data today, right? Only about less than 36% of the data is, or 1/3 of the data is actually being used. Okay, most of it is unused. Okay, 80% of it is collected but not really used. Think about your handwritten doctor notes, right? Unless somebody digitizes it, it doesn't get used. And there's a lot of healthcare data that is being generated on a regular basis. I think there's a study that says there's 2.5 quintillion bytes of data that's being generated daily. And it's not just, simple notes. It's everything from clinical records, financial records. In the real world, there are about 17,000 to 18,000 variables that you are tracking, which comes in that 20% bucket that we know of. When in reality, there are a lot more. So 17,000 is just a small sample that we are able to use today. But if you open that up, there are about 70,000 to 80,000 variables that you as one person can generate on a daily basis from a health perspective. Okay. And that growth is pretty massive. Every year, about 36% is growing annually. And healthcare, if you are not aware, healthcare has the biggest costs in the world. $4.3 trillion worth of costs are spent on healthcare alone. And why I'm talking about this is because a lot of the work that we do as data science or AI practitioner is to help either make use of that dollars more efficient, or use it more effectively, or reduce that healthcare spend. If more people are healthy, more people are able to get diagnosed more quickly. It helps the society, it helps the economy, it helps the individual as well, right? That's what we are doing from a practitioner standpoint. I'll talk to you about some examples of this when we move forward. What this huge amount of data also means is there are lots of inefficient processes that we have today in healthcare. For example, doctors, while they spend a small portion of their day diagnosing, they spend a larger amount of time doing administrative work. They are recording, they are making sure that the diagnosis is correct. They are also studying. So a lot of the work that healthcare practitioners do is admin. It's not really the work that they're actually trained for, but really admin. So that's where most of the work goes. And that also leads to a lot of burnout. So there are reports that say that 62% of, this is an American specific study, 62% of doctors are actually feeling burnout, because really they spend 2+ hours of daily work on paperwork. Like after every patient they interact with, there's at least 20-30 minutes of paperwork that they have to do. And that's by law, like that's by policy within the United States. And it's very similar in most developed countries. So that's one problem that this data generation creates. The second thing is, we as humans, we're also prone to errors, right? We also make mistakes, and that leads to a lot of, let's call it, unnecessary consequences. And again, in the US alone, there are like 250,000 deaths because of medical errors, and it could be very simple medical errors. I'm sure you must have heard some nightmares in different surgical departments. It's fairly common, and there are lots of deaths that are preventable if we had enough systems in place. Okay? And yeah, overall, healthcare globally is a fairly inefficient. There's not one healthcare system in the world that is effective or efficient. There are some specific countries, like for example, US, the healthcare costs are ridiculous. And those inefficiencies are now being transferred to many other places. And that's a challenge, right? And to solve for some of those challenges, today we are using Gen AI. And we are leveraging the data that we are collecting that has been digitized. And for the past decade or so, I think since 2012, 2013, when we had enough of data digitized, we are now able to create more ML models to help solve some of these real problems. Okay. So that's the data challenge that we have in the world today. It also brings a lot of opportunity, right? Because there is a lot of data lying around. What we're doing now is we are exploiting that data. This is not just doing some basic insights at a population level, but also using that data to create actual solutions. Okay, I'll give you a good example of this. Until 1999, it takes about 5 years to sequence or understand a specific genome, right? And it used to take decades, and in the 90s it took 5 years. And once DeepMind started to, which is basically a machine learning AI based approach to figuring out genomics, it took about 4 hours to basically understand all genetic structure that humans have. Right? We can basically decode the genetic structure. That's the power of machine learning. If you can systematically collect data and apply these machine learning tools, you can synthesize a lot of information very quickly. Today, we have both the tools. When I say tools, it's not just machines, the hardware, but also the software, the techniques in leveraging this data and converting them into meaningful insights or healthcare relevant solutions. Okay. Again, these are some insights, numerical insights that I have collected. For India specifically, right, we have a huge population. There's a lot of good work that has happened across the world. And the cool thing about healthcare is that if you have studied patients in another region, that knowledge is easily transferable to any place in the world. Okay. So for India, since we have a lot of patients, we're also generating a lot of data. We can leverage that data to create more solutions. There are lots of startups today that are actually solving those problems today for not just India, but also for the globe. A lot of India startups are helping South Asian countries. They are creating solutions, fairly advanced solutions that you can leverage even in remote areas. When I come to patient care, I'll talk about a specific India company that is doing this fairly well. And there are many others. There are like 30, 40 already doing some really cool things within the healthcare space. And India has a unique opportunity to like make this scalable, accessible to a lot more people. Okay. Okay, I'll pause here. Maybe I've shared a lot of tidbits here. I see some chats. Okay. Okay, I don't see any questions. All right, I'll move on then. Now, with that data, what we can do in the real world is essentially help in patient care. Okay, and does everybody understand what patient care means? Right, it should be straightforward. Right? Feel free to ask if I need to explain what patient care means. Maybe I'll give you a 2-second timer.
Maybe you can explain.
Yeah. in everybody's lifetime, we all go through different stages, right? From childbirth to, let's say, your teenage years, to your adolescence, and then adulthood, and then old age. And in each of these phases, you're going through different kinds of risks. Every healthcare system is trying to manage those risks at a broader scale, right? Your state government, your national healthcare policy is trying to manage those risks over time, right? And this is not just India, right? This happens everywhere in the world. There are policy making that directs this for all of us. Now, patient care is specifically revolves around your care for a specific need for the age that you're in, right? For a small infant might have different needs. And that infant may need not just nourishment, but also, let's say, psychological requirements. How are we thinking as a community? Those are aspects that come within patient care. It's not just drugs, treatment systems. It's a lot more complex. So all those kind of come under patient care. Okay. Now, if from infancy to, let's say, old age, right? How are you managing diseases? Old age is generally considered a disease. It's not really a function of age, but it's basically a collection of diseases, and how we are managing patients in that state of right? How is our healthcare system managing patients in that zone is what we primarily concern ourselves with, right? That's basically what patient care is. How is our systems treating individuals in the age and the risks that they are trying to manage for that age group that they're in. In the past, we used to have a lot of manual systems, right? You have the doctors who get trained for almost a decade. Even today, that's the case. And those techniques and tools have improved, but they've accelerated a lot more. Okay. Now, as part of that toolkit, we now have Gen AI. What used to happen in the past is we used to work with very small data, and that data used to be analyzed. Right? If you remember how long it took to collect your blood reports, it used to take maybe a few days. Now, I think within a day, you probably get a report, depending on the kind of blood test you're doing. So a lot of methods and techniques have improved. And that also comes with how our data is being collected. In the past, you would probably get a report, and then that directly gets shared to you or your doctor or the care provider. Today, it's shared across. It's shared across, let's say, different care providers that you are interacting with, and they react based on how that data is being shared. Apart from care providers, today we also have AI solutions that are studying your data, not just from one perspective, but from almost like a 360 perspective. They're looking for emergent risks. As a person, as let's say a trained doctor, you may be focused on, let's say, a specific area, right? AI today is smart enough to figure out very small nuances that a human might miss. That's a level of sophistication that AI today has. And the other cool thing is, in the past, we only used to work with structured data. Now, what I mean by structured data is numerical data, right? Like you think of your Excel sheets where you have columns, rows, and there are numbers. That's basically your structured data. Whereas everything else in the world, like language, images, all of that, even including handwritten notes, all of that is unstructured data, right? Today, we have AI that can consume unstructured data and also interpret them as good as a human does. That's the world that we live in. And what we're doing now is we are exploiting that to create solutions that benefit not just individual patients, but also the ecosystem around the patients. Okay, that's what I want to talk to you about. There are a couple of examples. First one, a very large field, is medical imaging. In the past, you would take your X-rays to a radiologist, and they would scan for potential issues. And they're essentially using sensors, right? Your eye is a sensor that's reading the image. And I don't know if you are aware that our senses are not exactly the same. I'm not talking about short-sightedness or long-sightedness. The way our brain interprets images also differs among people. Okay, that's a known fact. So depending on the doctor that is looking at your X-rays and the level of training experience they have, they may or may not catch diagnosis. Okay, and this has been a known problem in medical imaging in the past. Now what we're doing is we are using AI, and using AI to train these models to look at known issues, not just in X-rays, but also in MRI, anything that gets scanned within your body and that generates an image. We are able to interpret what is happening and look for minute, extremely minute deviations to figure out if there are any potential risks or potentially diseases. A company called Cure, I'm not sure if folks are familiar, maybe I'll open that up, right? It's a India company. It got incubated at Fractal, and we're quite proud of this. Maybe I'll tell you an interesting story about this, right? I think this started again in 2013, 2014 when deep learning was becoming useful for us. At that time, the techniques were not great, but at least the tools were there to start interpreting images. What this organization does is they are able to scan these X-rays or even MRIs and look at minute aberrations that may or may not be visible to a naked eye, right? And they're able to identify potential issues. So, for example, in this X-ray that you see, it's able to find out that there is likely a tuberculosis, right? It's a very small region, and there's also something else happening here. You probably need to take a look. Okay, this technology was used extensively in COVID to find pneumonia risks for patients. You don't really need to use a high-end device. You just need to have a low-end device which is cheap, mobile. You can take it anywhere, even in remote areas like a forest. Take a snapshot on your and send it across through your mobile phone, and AI will basically analyze it without a doctor being present remotely and get you diagnosed. That's the power of this particular technology. Cure.ai is now, I think, it's like in 1 of 5 countries. It's patented. We are using this in many different regions. Earlier, we started with X-rays. Now we have MRI. There are, and these are 2D images. We also have like 3D images that we are able to now scan and find rare diseases even before anyone else could detect it, right? Anything else can detect it. And this is a game changer for most medical providers. Okay, so that's the first example. The second one is more about tools. There are many tech companies that are actively trying to help healthcare ecosystem. One of the challenges in healthcare is that by law, your data is private. It cannot go beyond you and the care provider that is working with you. And that restriction kind of is not beneficial for people like me who use these models or train these models. And one of the ways we have, one of the tools and techniques that we now have access to is called synthetic data generation. There's a specific approach called GANs, okay, generative adversarial networks. Are people familiar with generative adversarial networks? If not, I can give you a quick view. Okay.
Srijit covered it in his previous session a bit. He did cover it.
Okay, maybe I'll give you an idea, right? So basically the idea is instead of generating real data, like you having to record data that you observe in the real world, we now have models that can imitate or generate the synthetic samples. Okay, one such interesting example is this person doesn't exist. Look at the quality and the depth in which this images created, right? And this person doesn't exist. It's basically all synthetic data. And you can generate as many as you like. You can, define gender, age, all these images are all synthetic data. Okay. What this allows us to do from a healthcare context is, let's say you have 100 image samples, and those data is not shareable, right? You can learn from that 100 images and create synthetic copies with minor variations, with all the details that you would see in the real world. Like very similar to how you're generating this image, you can do the same thing with healthcare data. Okay. There are many examples. One particular one is this NVIDIA radiology image generator. It takes scans of real data and then produces synthetic versions of medical images. The way it benefits us is it helps us identify edge cases, like scenarios that we may not have anticipated, right? That's one potential use case. Secondly, it also helps us create more solutions on top of known problems. Instead of people sharing actual data, which might violate privacy laws, you can freely share synthetic data, and then you can train AI models on top of it. Okay, that's the second benefit of it. The third benefit of it is you can now simulate, right, potential scenarios. Those are three ways in which we are using AI to create more data to build more solutions on top of it. Okay, NVIDIA solution is one of them. There are many like this. Microsoft has its own. DeepMind has its own. So there are many people who are creating similar solutions using Gen AI. Okay. Another interesting one is synthetic brain images using another technique called latent diffusion model. This allows us to study how our brain operates, how different interaction happens. There are devices today. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. Elon Musk has created a neural link that you can embed in your chip and control devices remotely just by thought. And these are real things, and these are all being powered by AI. And that is happening because now we have learned how some of our brain functions work, and it's extremely complex. And these AI models are able to understand those interactions far more better than many of us humans can at the moment. It's a very experimental technology, and it's only possible because we are now able to scan images and generate more brain copies using synthetic data generation. Okay, and the key thing powering that is called generative adversarial networks. This is what is helping us create those images. Okay. The second one is around personalization. I think I've touched upon this earlier. Usually, most of us, when we go through treatments, we get this one size fits all. You have a headache, take Crocin, right? You have some XYZ, a cough, you take some XYZ medicine, right? We all get similar treatment. Unfortunately, most of us are not similar, right? We all have different tolerances for medicines. It's not just by weight, but also by the age group that we are in. Maybe we also have some known conditions. Maybe it is hereditary or non-hereditary. There are many dynamics that you and I as individuals go through. What AI is now doing is it's able to study those dynamics. It's able to learn from the data that you're sharing to that AI, and it's able to customize treatment for you. So for example, if you're known to have certain allergies, it's very easy for today to identify the right treatment plan or diagnostic plan based on the information that you share with it. And that is something that AI is helping us with. The second one is around the genomic data. I think Mayo Clinic has data already that they have collected over decades on many patients. What they're doing with that data is they are trying to create personalized responses for each patient. So what worked with a certain patient, how can we emulate that how can we increase the success of a patient's, let's say, survival if they are going through some extremely rare conditions. What's the right treatment for that particular person? All those things are being studied and diagnosed using AI today. Having said that, none of this is, it's not like a AI is directly giving you these diagnoses. It's usually through a practitioner. The AI is mostly acting like a support system where the doctor or the medical professional will input the data, see what the AI is recommending, and then using their own experience, expertise, either accepting what the AI is saying or kind of augmenting what the AI says and then providing diagnostic care. Okay, that's how most things are operating today. But we now have tools that are able to support doctors in extremely smart ways. Okay. Similarly, there are many other places. There are DeepMind doing many things in healthcare. There's a company that is breaking down proteins for drug discovery. There may be a drug coming out very soon that is fully generated by. I'm getting some background.
There's a question.
Okay.
There's
Sure.
a question from Mr. Vivek Prakash. He's saying, sir, what if the patient is not able to give the right information about their health condition to GenAI, especially patients from rural areas, if they are not able to give the right information?
Okay. So far, what I've been talking about is within the medical practitioner community. See, today we all have access to these tools that you can even do a Google search to get some diagnostic, right? Which is not recommended. Okay, that's a very difficult space. I'll talk about responsible AI dynamics there. This is an aspect that we are actively thinking about. What if somebody shares incorrect information, either intentionally or unintentionally, right? So, for example, somebody in rural India may not know how to interact with it. They may also get into a lot of stress, right? Hearing what the GPT or the AI is talking to them. So how do you responsibly create these systems is a separate area in itself. I'll talk about that, but there's no easy answer. We today, as people, have access to all these systems. You can use it fairly or unfairly, but those risks are real. Okay, I don't have a good answer, but it's a potential risk for if somebody in rural India is using these. Is there any more questions?
No. I mean, there's one question in the chat. As academicians, can we access some open source data?
Yeah. There are many forums like that. Cure AI itself has open sourced its data. You may want to look for it. Yeah, it's probably here. Yeah, I think you should be able to find it here. Yeah, long ago we had shared all this. So this is the brain anatomy segmentation. I think the data is all here. And there are many like this. This is just one example. I'll share one of this. Not everybody shares data, but most healthcare where the data is not privacy restricted. Like people who are alive, you can't really use those data sets. But synthetic data, I think most people share. Yeah, real data, I don't think even actual organizations or even academia shares actively. That's a limitation there. But you will find data. There are enough data sources. If you look for it, you'll find a lot of this freely available. Okay. I think somebody talked about Ayushman. I think today India is going in that direction where we are digitizing our health records. I don't think we have used it actively or extensively for GenAI, but the data collection is happening, and that's kind of exciting to me because that kind of opens up opportunity to create more solutions on top of those data infrastructure. So that's what's happening. I'll move on to next one. The next one is around clinical documentation. And I'm going to take you to the doctor's office, right? As soon as you enter the doctor's office, today we have systems that are actually listening to the doctor-patient communication. These are real devices. I'm not sure if they are active in India, but they are active in UK, Australia, and US, where whatever you have shared with the doctor gets written down or noted digitally. What the doctor is saying, what he's prescribing, what he's hearing from the patient. It also separates symptoms. It also separates things like maybe the doctor is using some technical terms, medical technical terms. Those are also captured separately. And then at the end of the conversation, the doctor doesn't write you a handwritten note. The AI that has kind of transcribed that conversation will write the note based on that conversation. So that's a real world use case. And in this use case, there are many things happening. The first thing is an AI is translating text, speech to text. And then that text is being analyzed for clinical information, non-clinical information. And then it's condensing that. One, it goes to a review with the doctor for sure, or some clinical expert. And then once that is reviewed, the final report gets sent to you over email or on that medical visit itself. So that is happening. And that workflow, that step-by-step workflow of having a conversation translated into something meaningful that you can take home is all done by AI. Okay. The second one is around how patient records, especially clinical notes. A lot of clinical notes, especially in the US and UK, and even handwritten ones, have been captured and documented. Those are also digitized, and we are now using them to convert patient conversations into larger clinical notes. And these are things that you can probably access to train other AI models. And there are many applications being built on top of these. Stanford Health has one. I think Microsoft Nuance Tasks is a co-pilot solution that also has that is trained on some of this patient records, patient conversations that it has access to. It's not available to everybody. It's mostly available to medical practitioners. You and I as general public can't access this co-pilot. And that's one thing that most smart organizations, most large organizations are actively thinking about. What can we give access to, what we cannot. So anything that's specialized like healthcare that is very sensitive and prone to a lot of risk. Most smart organizations tend to limit access. It can't be like a general purpose tool. What this allows us to do is instead of a doctor spending time writing down notes, actively thinking about what did I tell this patient on XYZ day, all of this is digitized and the notes are taken. You don't need a lot of people to manage this. So it saves a lot of time within the clinical space. It reduces documentation error. It helps the doctor focus on the patient instead of thinking about note taking, making sure that it's recorded somewhere. So the administrative aspect is also reduced. So that's another space where Gen AI is used actively. An interesting opportunity for us in India is the multilingual support. We have the AI that can translate many languages into what a machine can, let's say, translate into, let's say, English. But it's early days. We need to exploit this a lot more, but that opportunity is still there. How do you use multi-language support to manage clinical conversations in this country? I'm sure there must be a startup that's probably thinking about this. All right. A third area. Now moving out of the doctor space, I'll come to the administrator space, which is the insurance world, right? A lot of us, hopefully not a lot of us, have gone through some sort of insurance claim process. And during this claim process, it goes through many sets of reviews. Okay. It goes through a basic checks, like, okay, if a person is claiming certain benefits for healthcare, then does the plan cover it or not? That could be a basic check. How much, what can we offer? What's the risk that we are taking here? All of those checks are happening, and it goes through many layers of people processes. Today, a person, somebody trained has to review it, and each person has a different interpretation of what you're claiming. Okay, that's a known problem in insurance. And on average, I think this is a more recent figure. It takes about 10 days to do something called as prior auth. Prior auth is basically if somebody is claiming for something very basic, like a vaccination or let's say maybe a minor injury, for an emergency visit for a minor injury. All these things are authorized. You're authorized by a priori, means your policy may be approving of these things by default. So it takes 10 days for these a priori authorizations to be approved. It doesn't get solved instantly. So all of this is manual today. Okay, that's the traditional process, and it's all error prone. It's prone to how the person interprets it. Some auditors might think you can approve it. Some might think you can't approve it. So it's a fairly messy process. What is happening now is these things are becoming simplified, and it's not just health insurance, but also property insurance. I mean, yeah, non-health insurance also, non-life insurance also. We have AI today that is assisting in analyzing your claim. As soon as you submit your claim, there's a AI that can scan the information that you provided. It can look up, let's say, records of your policy, review if you are eligible for that claim, and instantly approve it. I don't know if there's a good example that I can give you in India, but there are many companies, let's say, for example, Allstate, UHG in the US. They have systems in place where you just submit your claim digitally and it gets approved within the same day. If not a couple of hours, by the end of the day, it gets approved. And all of that is possible because you have AI studying unstructured data, the notes, databases, and then coming up with the authorization automatically instead of it going through human reviews. Okay. This saves a lot of admin costs. The claim processing is a highly administrative process, and it's a fairly well-known problem across the industry, healthcare industry. And now, because of AI, a lot of these things are becoming simpler, more automated. Having said that, it's also being exploited unfairly because it's become simpler to review. People are also doing fraud because this AI system, trusts what the user is giving, right? So it's also being, we are also seeing a lot of people exploit this unfairly. Okay. That also means that there'll be more AI that will be layered to identify what is real, what is not. Okay. So that's the other thing that's happening. Any questions so far here?
We do not seem to have any questions
Okay.
right now. Yeah.
Okay. Feel free to ask me any question, right? If you feel like there are areas that you're interested in, I can talk about based on my experience. Right now, I'm giving you like both a balanced view of what is real, what is theoretical, and what you can take away from this. Feel free to probe a little more if you want to understand any specific items that I'm sharing.
Please ask your questions. This is the best time to get insights from the expert. And the time is very precious. So if they're giving their time here, let's make the best use of that time. Please ask your questions. Thank you.
All right. I'll move on. Okay. I think I've touched upon fraud. Maybe I'll talk a lot more about fraud here. Now, there are two aspects of fraud, right? There is, I say fraud is a very complex space. I have spent a long time in healthcare within fraud detection. It's a multi-billion-dollar problem. I think about $200 billion of fraud happens just in the US. So if you look at it from a global scale, it is much higher. And it could be intentional, it could be unintentional, right? I'll give you an example, right? Like in the US, unlike India, where you go and pay the clinic or the doctor directly, in the US, mostly it's the insurance company paying the provider, the doctor or the clinical facility, instead of you paying the clinical facility directly. What happens in that scenario is the clinical facility has to fill the claim on the patient's behalf. Okay. When they do that, there may be errors, and these errors could be intentional or unintentional. Okay. A good example of it could be you gave a particular injection to a patient, but you recorded another injection by mistake. Okay, that could be a problem. In the past, we would have AI systems that traditional AI systems, not Gen AI, but machine learning systems that would detect, hey, if somebody's coming here to get treatment for diabetes and you are showing me an injection that is meant for, let's say, wound care, this doesn't make sense. So we send back that form and say, can you check this, please? Right. So we had AI systems that used to do that. Today, the AI systems are a little more sophisticated. So as soon as you send it, the AI will say, oh, you probably have, put a mistake here, and you probably need to use another medication for this specific treatment. It's able to give you that feedback more intelligently. Another potential problem could be that this is not unintentional, but intentional, right? People are doing fraud here, right? There are many medical cases where doctors may use one syringe or the medication and bill it multiple times. Right? That way, if they purchase something for, let's say, $1,000, they can bill it through the insurance company for $5,000, basically. Bill it multiple times. And a lot of times, the way insurance systems work, they tend to approve it very quickly. We had to build systems that can detect these smartly. And the way you would detect it is you have to study previous fraud patterns. Unless you have identified fraud patterns earlier, it was very hard for you to find new fraud that is happening. Okay, so that's one challenge. And it could happen in any space, right? What I am telling you about. Give me a second, I need water.
Please.
All right, perfect. So fraud can happen in any space, right? It could be at the pharmacist area, like pharmacy bills can be manipulated to show higher billage to get more funds. It could happen in diagnostics, like the provider, the doctor themselves can be doing fraud, or it could be systemic, that the entire system is exploiting these minor nuances to benefit themselves. So these are things that we have to tackle in fraud detection and compliance. And it could happen in anything, right? In medical imaging, document reviews, billing behavior, how billing behavior is different across different doctors. All of these are actively studied to find anomalies. We're not essentially trying to find fraud, but anomalies. So if there's a pattern, if there's a specific provider that's doing something abnormal, like Generally, let's say, for example, most doctors prescribe a specific medication or a range of medication, and the specific doctor is doing something slightly different. How do we flag that? That's what fraud detection and compliance is all about. That in itself is a anomaly detection space, and it's a very difficult problem from a AI perspective, because you don't have a lot of data. Fraud, most data is clean. Only 1% or less than 1% of data tends to be fraud. And training your model on that 1% of fraudulent activities is very difficult in the Gen AI or any ML world. Yeah, and the kind of data sets that we are tackling, right? Medical, document, claim cross-reference, and the complex relationships that we are tackling, that used to be difficult earlier. You only had a limited set of techniques to find anomalies. But with Gen AI now, we have two benefits. One is you can take that 1% of known fraud and we can simulate different scenarios. You can create copies of different scenarios, synthetic scenarios, to simulate potential fraudulent activity. So, for example, like suspicious billing patterns, false claims, this could be simulated and we could train models to detect them early. That's one benefit of using Gen AI models specifically. The second one is, since unstructured data, like I told you earlier, traditional systems only work with structured data. Like for example, handwritten forms, voice recordings, mixed language. You know, in India, we tend to mix our languages. Like you can speak Hindi, then English, or maybe a local language while you're interacting. How do you combine them together and synthesize it to come up with an analysis? That used to be difficult earlier, but now we have solutions using Gen AI that can interpret it and make it accessible to traditional ML models for fraud detection. I think this detection challenge is very, it's a big problem, right? False positives, late detection, that we can reduce because we have more tools now because of Gen AI that can look at complex relationships and different kinds of data sets to identify anomalies. So that's one benefit that we are getting from Gen AI. Yeah, that's a third use case. I'll quickly move on to the second area of focus. Or actually, this is the third area, right? Which is population health intelligence. So far, what we've done is we have focused on narrow solutions, either for patient health insurance or specific AI tools and techniques. Now I want to talk to you about population health intelligence. Again, healthcare is not just about the patient, not just about the doctor. There are many other ecosystems around it, and there are policy making that is today being informed by data. Okay, and that data is now being leveraged by AI to come up with new insights like epidemics, potential risks with certain population segments. How do you identify that early? How do you prepare for that early? All those things are what your Ministry of Health and departments within that tend to manage. Like something as simple as, let's say, polio vaccination or infant vaccination programs. Those are today actually analyzed and programs developed, how frequently people go, what time should they go. All of that is today informed by both statistical analysis and AI generated recommendations. Okay. And the way we do it is, again, we use AI to simulate various intervention scenarios. A good example would be, let's say there's rainy season coming, and in the past we've observed that there is a certain spike of particular diseases, and how should we prepare our healthcare systems, your doctors, your hospitals, to be ready for that onset. Okay, this will involve everything from supplies of medication, the number of doctors, hospital beds, the accessibility of these hospitals, all of those things are today being monitored at a population health level. And population health, think of it like at a district level, at a state level, all of these things are being monitored, and operational insights being generated so that we are prepared for different risks at a population level. Okay. One of the powerful things that we now have is synthetic medical data. What this allows us to do, I think I've talked about this before, is it allows us to simulate not just individual dynamics, but also dynamics at a population level. So we can create copies of people, synthetic people, and each of them going through different, let's say, medical journeys. So for example, Japan has the median age is very higher. India has a very young population. So the dynamics, the health dynamics of that population will be very different, right? So how do you study that? Given those population dynamics, the kind of care that we have, the quality of care that we have, and how do we prepare our ecosystems to be ready for different risks is what we can do with synthetic medical data generation, right? In the past, we used to do statistical analysis, but the scale at which, or the effectiveness of this was quite limited. You had to do many of these and you needed experts to do this. Now with synthetic data, you can generate like billions of records, privacy safe data sets with good clinical accuracy, and create realistic patient trajectories. So you can, let's say if you know that during rainy seasons, you will see a spike in, let's say, particular diseases, you can simulate that. You can also simulate that this may or may not happen, and by to what extent. That is possible because you're now able to generate these data sets synthetically. And synthetically, I mean using Gen AI to create those synthetic samples. Another thing that you can do is you can simulate supply chain dynamics, right? What medication is available, how much do we export, how much do we import. That data can also be simulated and prepare almost the state or even the nation to be ready with those supplies, right? How do we use our health facilities more efficiently is basically the broader question. And we are now able to use this synthetic generated data to simulate and come up with unique solutions.
There are a couple of questions.
Sure. Let me
So
pause.
one is, what models are generally used in medical diagnosis? This is a question from Shubham Banerjee.
Okay. Medical diagnosis, again, it depends on what field of expertise. So for example, you can today use GPT. Okay, let me give you, I had a good example of this.
There's a related question that this is typically medical diagnosis in India as well as across the world is still hit and trial. So what effective improvement can Gen AI bring in it? So I think these two are connected probably.
Okay. Very good. So let's say if the question, depending, again, it all depends, right? If the question or the kind of conversation you're having requires just a simple diagnosis, right? I have an example of this. Let me zoom in here, right? This is basically a prompt, right? Let's say you are some doctor, you're a cardiologist, and a patient comes in and they give you this is what you've noted down, right? Traditionally, the doctor, based on their experience, would look at whatever data that they have available, and then come up with a diagnostic reasoning, and then give some concise response, right? You can today do this in, oh, I can't open, let me see if I can open Grok. In any LLM. Because LLMs today are trained on world data, including medical records. They have that intelligence in them to help you solve some level of medical problems. Okay, you can even attach images here, but any LLM should be able to answer that at a basic level. Most medical AI are specialized. They are trained on medical only data. I think maybe I'll talk to you about DAX, right? I think this is DAX. Again, this is a specialized copilot. Yeah, this is for clinical workflows. This is only accessible to medical practitioners, and this can do administrative work for you. Right? It can record your the conversations that you've had, mental strains, what care you're providing, all those it can record. Let me go back to Grok. I think it should have answered by now. Yeah, so, okay, great. Right. See, I've given it some details, and then I've asked it to kind of figure out potential diagnosis, differential diagnosis. So it's made a case summary. It's identified, okay, these are potential problems that this person can have. And the LLM is saying, this is the likely reason. And what you should do next is this. So most LLMs today have this intelligence. Now, should you trust it? No. Okay, because this is a general purpose LLM. It may occasionally hallucinate and may misdiagnose you. And that's why you need a doctor to review these. There are other specialized tools that can diagnose, and it depends on the kind of work you're doing. If it's just text only, then a LLM can work. If it's like image plus text, then you need a combination of AI models to work together to come up with a diagnosis and solution. Most medical AI is a combination of AI working together to give you a diagnosis. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. It's not hit and trial, by the way. It is very statistically driven. Anything that doesn't work, anything that works has to be proven statistically in any medical field. Until that happens, it doesn't become part of general medical literature. And unless it's an extreme scenario, right? Like COVID. Even during COVID, we had to accelerate a lot of clinical trials to come up with that early vaccines. But even they had to go through statistical analysis to prove that they're effective. So not all treatments are hit and trial. At least modern medicine is not hit and trial. What was the second question, Kamala, you said that was connected? What models are generally used in medical diagnosis? Right, okay. I think what models can be anything, right? Models can be LLMs, like text-driven LLMs, or it could be vision models. Any of that works. Depending on the use case, you'll use different kinds of AI. The key technology or the key techniques that most of these models use is called a transformer. Okay, if anybody asks what is powering your AI, it's called a transformer. It's a patent that it's not a patent. It's a white paper. It's a paper that was created by Google, and that's what led us to all these LLMs that we work with today. All right. Any more questions?
There's just a chat thing. Ajay Sharma is saying that I'm talking about doctor diagnosis. So you want to say AI helps improve it. So you are agreeing with that.
AI helps decision making of a doctor. That's how we want to use it, and that's the most responsible way of using it.
I think there's one more question which is linked to this, that how far is AI assisted diagnostic trustworthy? Can it replace the need of human intervention?
I'll come to it. It's become extremely good, but there are human nuances, there are legal nuances, there are ethical nuances, and there are no good answers. I will come to it, and that's a challenge that we are all trying to figure out how to solve. At what point can you fully trust an AI is an open question. Okay, I'll come to it when we go to the challenges. Okay, one more example is predictive analytics. I'll be quick here. Predictive analytics is a very common problem that we would solve in traditional AI is looking at patient history and trying to predict, okay, when will this person go to a hospital next? How likely is this person at risk of diabetes? These are important risk measures that especially insurance companies would want to know. Okay, not because they want to save money or throw you out of their program, but to basically help you navigate that risk preemptively. It kind of helps you and also them over time, right? It reduces costs for them. It benefits your health. That's how we look at preventive care, and it's a specialized area where AI is actively being used. Earlier, everything was reactive. Only when you see symptoms, you get diagnosed. Now that all of us are generating a lot of data, we have both tools, we have the technology, and even the techniques to prevent issues. A good example is your Apple Watch. Apple Watch today has AI algorithms that can detect abnormal heartbeats and quickly either send an SOS or inform you that you need to go visit a doctor. Another good use case is fall risk. Okay, it's a very interesting problem especially in Western world. Most senior citizens, they live alone, and they have a high risk of fall. Once they fall, it's very difficult for them to reach their phone and call for help. Identifying symptoms or nervous breakdowns early on, there are devices that you get that can identify potential nervous system issues early and tell you that, hey, you are probably at risk of falling. You better sit next to a phone if you need help. There are systems like that. And all of that is specialized AI. These are AI trained for just one job. Like, for example, there's one AI trained to prevent diabetes. There's one AI trained to prevent hypertension, right? So we can create AI specialized for different clinical conditions and then alert you for those issues whenever you are at risk of it, right? And the way things are evolving right now is, instead of being reactive, you are now doing data analysis, finding that risk based on that data, and then preventing it, and then finally predicting it, right? Like predicting is the ideal scenario. If we can predict it, then we can pretty much prevent and manage it. And that's the goal of most AI today, preventive care. And we're already seeing a lot of benefit here, like 25% reduction in emergency visits, because we now have AI solutions that are able to do this very effectively. And this data is from the US alone. Okay. I'll move on to health campaigns. Health campaigns is another interesting area. This is slightly non-clinical, like the way you message. There are aspects of behavior, culture, demographic dynamics, right, that are unique to different communities. How do you create campaigns that are catered to specific communities is something that is not easy. You need people with that local knowledge, local expertise, and even population health knowledge. So we are using AI to create these campaigns and optimize the message to target specific behaviors and hopefully get the right outcomes. Okay, that's one thing that is happening. Instead of using your traditional public health campaigns like one size fits all, one generic message, you can now create targeted messages depending on the population. Yeah, that's another thing that's happening because of AI. Okay. Okay, this is a very interesting area. I'll probably spend the next 10 minutes on the reality of Gen AI today. I want to talk about what is working, what is not working, and what is kind of in the gray area where, for example, somebody talked about when can we trust an AI fully, right? Okay, these are places in healthcare where it is definitely working. It's reducing the administrative burden on physicians. They are able to save time. They are able to document faster, better, more consistently using AI. That's one area. That's one administrative burden where we are definitely seeing benefits. The second area is diagnostic robotics, right? What that means is it's a combination of tools and devices that are working together to reduce certain risks. They are both predicting those risks. We are able to manage those risks because of that predictive capability, and in turn reducing emergency visits. So that's another area where we are seeing benefits for sure. Think of diagnostic robots as something as simple as your smartwatch, right? Your smartwatch has basic intelligence. If you have a heart issue, there is AI already incorporated there that can inform you that you may be at risk much ahead in time. The last area is around personalized treatments. The pace at which the research and insights that we are getting because of AI has accelerated rapidly. We are seeing some early benefits of personalized treatments. Mayo Clinic has already done this, or at least trialing this within their clinic fairly effectively. So these are three areas where it is working very well. What this potentially means is, $200 billion worth of saving in US healthcare administration alone. Increased productivity, right? The same amount of work that doctors are putting in admin, now they can put in actual treatment. And the third one is around, again, administrative, which is prior auth. We have tools now to accelerate claim processing. Okay, so these are the places where things are working. Now, in terms of where it's not working, right? If you understood anything about AI or any AI solution, all of it is based on some underlying data. If the underlying data has some level of corruption or bias, because there's bias for sure in the data, we know for it and we know of it, AI tends to magnify it. Okay, so bias in training data is something that we are actively conscious of as practitioners, and that's also the reason why we don't allow sensitive domains like finance, healthcare, to take these LLMs and consume them directly. Okay, that's one area. The second area is hallucination. AI is a probabilistic machine, right? Depending on what question you ask, how you ask it, it might give you a different answer. Most large models today have reduced hallucination considerably, but the risk of hallucination is still there. So trusting it is not always an easy answer, right? You can't fully trust AI today. That's another risk that we have, and it's something that is not working. Third is privacy and security risks. Patient data is highly sensitive. Today, what is happening is somebody who is smart enough and can use AI today is putting their clinical records on ChatGPT. Essentially, they're sharing what we deem as personally identifiable information on the internet. And that creates a lot of privacy and security risks, because ChatGPT, if you are using the public version, will use that data to train its model. Okay, so there are privacy and security risks there. If again, even if like clinical practitioners are not trained in how to use these AI tools, they can also expose your sensitive data. Those are other risks that we have to manage. Last one is, because of these risks, we today actively do not recommend that these AI tools be used without a human in the loop. Okay. They can, like somebody said, they can assist, they can support your decisions, they can inform your decisions, but they can't fully replace it. I'll give you an ethical problem, right? Let's say you go to a doctor today and they use an AI to diagnose you, and there's a problem, like there's a serious problem. Who would you blame from a legal standpoint? Would you blame the doctor? Would you blame the device maker that provided the AI, or do you blame the person who created the AI? And it's not easy. Most law would want to work with the person directly, so most accountability is human directed, and therefore human in the loop will always remain, at least for the foreseeable future, even if AI becomes extremely good. Okay. Having said this, there are things that are improving, right? There is a scale advantage. We have digital infrastructure that is coming in, and there are cost benefits. This is arguable, but we are seeing that most compute and data costs are reducing. So we should be able to exploit this a lot more to create more useful healthcare related Gen AI solutions. I think, yeah. And the way things are evolving is AI is going to be everywhere. It's going to come up with, it's going to be integrated in many systems, right? Interesting area is virtual reality. Today, doctors are, I think most of you must have heard about remote surgeries through robotics. And now we have VR systems that can work with Gen AI to train doctors. You can literally go inside a person's body and see the heartbeat, the different nervous interaction, nervous system and different systemic interactions. You can do this in virtual reality, and that is possible because of Gen AI. The second one is wearables. You are today able to do real-time or near real-time health monitoring, because we have watches, we have specialized devices that can track health parameters and transmit them, and we can use that to do predictive insights. That's also happening. Third one is robotics. We are actively doing AI-powered surgical procedures. It's not common yet, but we are able to do some of these procedures in animals today using Gen AI for sure. So these are things that are happening, and this is what you would expect in the future as well. You will see more of these things happen. You will also have your own digital health avatars, virtual doctors, real-time clinical decision support, and even automated research, right? Doctors and clinicians can use research. A cool thing about Gen AI today is that unlike a doctor or a person, it can have knowledge about multiple fields. You don't necessarily need to go to a specialist in one field. You can have specialists across fields who can diagnose problems if the problem is very complex. All right, with that, I'll stop here. I think we are close to time. Kamla, if there's any closing things that you want to do, I can give it back to you, or I can spend time taking questions.
Thank you. I think you have answered most of the questions. There was a question asking you for a white paper that you shared, that there was some white paper you shared. If you can share the link of the white paper in the chat, that would be great.
Okay.
And thank you so much, Akbar. That was a very informative session. Came to know a lot of things, and the future looks really, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in future, as you rightly said, let's where it's going to take us. Thank you so much. The participants also really enjoyed and interacted and engaged in the session. My request to the participants is to please complete these modules on Future Skills Prime platform. We have some of you did not have access to the WhatsApp group. We have given you the access. So please log into the Future Skills Prime portal. We have finished 4 topics. Please finish that on the Future Skills Prime portal, because as I told you at the beginning of the session, there is going to be an assessment on Saturday. Please do not take the assessment before Saturday. You don't need to pay for the assessment. I'm repeating again. There will be a promo code which you will get on Friday on the email that you have registered on Atal portal. So you use that promo code to take the assessment on Saturday, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. That's all from my side. And we will see you again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So please join in and take leverage of all the experts that we are getting for you. And with that, we come to a close. Thank you so much, Akbar. Thank you once again. Thank you for your time.
Bye, folks.
Thank you.